Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today for Magic Monday, I have MK with me. I am
Hi.
her. She did the Disney College program. Oh boy. You're gonna have to tell me I told you.
To
Yeah.
what which year?
Yeah, what year did you do it?
2017.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask her a
So,
few questions.
okay.
Really quick. So first question is, what Disney apartments did you live in?
I lived in Patterson, and obviously this is before there was any Flamingo Crossings. So, in the old Patterson Courts apartments, yeah, it was a great apartment. We were happy when we got Patterson. It was one of the, I guess, known to be one of the nicer apartment complexes.
Oh,
So
that's
we loved it.
that's so cool. Do they not have it anymore? Like,
No, so well, since Disney built Flamingo Crossings, that's where all the
yeah.
DCP live now. I think they sold it to some, I don't know who they sold it to, but now
Mhm.
just like anybody can live in those apartments. They're still there. And now
Okay.
just kind of locals live there, but I don't think it's any, I mean, there might be cast members living in there now, but it's not DCP housing anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like there's like no option. It's just Flamingo Crossing if like you were to do it.
Yeah, no, there was no Flamingo Crossings wasn't even, it was probably still on the desk of some Imagineer or something like that. I don't know. They hadn't started building anything when I was down there. So I'm kind of jealous of all the people that do the DCP now because Flamingo Crossings looks really cool. It looks like they did a really cool job with it. But we
Yeah.
loved our little Patterson apartment. So it was great. There were six of us roommates in it, and there was a three-bedroom. So just two roommates per bedroom, and we each had our own bathroom. So it was very nice. We didn't, even though there were six people living in it, we didn't feel like we were on top of each other, if
Oh,
that makes
that's
sense.
nice. Question number two. What emotion did you have like when you first like stepped into doing like the DCP?
What emotion?
Yeah.
I think, honestly, since it was this whole new experience, there was still this sense of like, it sounds so cheesy, but feeling like I'm kind of home in a sense. I just grew up being in Disney. So I just felt automatically just super comfortable, um, just living in Disney, being down there, and just excited. I really, if I had to like pick an emotion, I guess excitement. I wasn't really nervous. Again, I think that's where the home feeling had a big role. I just felt comfortable, but yeah, just mainly excited. And I just couldn't get over the fact that like, gosh, I can go to the parks whenever I want. Like that never really got old. It really never did. So
That,
super excited.
yeah. What was your role in the DCP?
So I was in merchandise, and my home base, I guess, was the Emporium. So that I only picked up because when you're working merchandise, that's the one nice thing about, well, there's many nice things about it, but one of the nice things about it is you can pick up in other locations. And so I picked up a shift in Hollywood Studios one day, and then I picked up a shift in Animal Kingdom one day. And I'm so glad I did that. I honestly wish I picked up more shifts because it was so neat to experience what it's like working in another park. Even just seeing like the break room and just, what these cast members do when they get there. And obviously, when you're going backstage of another park, you get to see that backstage of that park is totally different
Mhm.
from like Magic Kingdom where I was. So that was I'm really glad I did that. I had one of my coworkers in the Emporium who she picked up like I want to say like at 30 different locations. Like she was always picking up shifts, which
Wow.
when it's in the moment and you're down there working, it's hard to want to pick up a shift in another location because you
Yeah.
just want to do what you're used to. And it's like, okay, I already know what I'm doing at the Emporium, so I don't know, I don't want to take the time and effort to I don't know, learn something else.
Yeah.
It sounds silly, but once you do it, you're so glad you did.
Hmm.
But yeah, and now I think it's so cool. Now she can walk away from the DCP and she's worked in all these different places.
Hmm.
So that's one thing I really wish I did more was pick up in other locations.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Emporium was great. Loved it.
Was there like a certain spot you had for like in the Emporium? Because I know it's like a bigger merchandise in the park.
Yeah. So basically when you show up, um, so when you're in the Emporium, and I think this is how it is for most merch locations, you're either on register or you're stocking for the day. And if you're on register, you show up and you punch in or whatever, you clock in, and you're told which register to start at. So you just go, and then all day you're just kind of told where you move. If you're stocking, in our little back room, there would be a whiteboard with your name and like the zone that you're assigned to for the day. So if you're stalking, you like don't have to report to anybody at all. You show up, you find your
Nice.
name on the whiteboard, and you're like, okay, I'm in zone 6. And then, at this point, obviously you're trained on what to do. So, just to start stalking zone 6, you go over to zone 6 and see who's been there for the day before you and kind of pick up where they left off. And I stalked a lot. That was probably my favorite position because I liked kind of being my own boss for the day. Like I said, you just
Hmm.
kind of got there, did your thing. Um, yeah, whereas like register, you're standing still all day. You feel just like confined to the register. Whereas like stalking, you can walk off stage whenever you want if you need to take like a second break or whatever you want to do.
That's
And
nice.
you keep moving. So I liked stalking the best.
That's awesome. Do you have like a
Yeah.
favorite item like that you got to stock?
Oh gosh. I'll tell you one of the easiest zones to stock was
Yeah.
like the hat room. So I liked when I got put on that. And see now the Emporium is totally different from when I was working there. It
Wait,
changes
really?
yeah, like as far as the layout of the store, it had changed not long after I left too. It's always changing. They're always changing out the different rooms. Um, so if I went into it now, one of the rooms that was like my favorite to stock might not be today because it's different merchandise in there.
Okay.
But I will say I always liked doing the hats. It was very easy to go down and just grab a bunch of hats. They were easy to count. Yeah, I like doing the hats, not the ornaments.
Yeah.
The ornaments around Christmas time, not a fun time. About every 5 seconds, you just hear an ornament break in that
Oh,
store because it's like inevitable, but it's okay. I think we all stocked the ornaments at one point. So, but yeah.
yeah. Did you get to request like doing stocking instead of register? Or did you have to do
So you would be assigned, and it was kind of random, I think, but you could trade. So, like how I said, personally, I like to stalk. There might
Mhm.
be someone that likes to be on register more. So usually, if I were to, and I think we would find out before we even would get to work. When we would get our schedule for the week, I think it would say like I'm on register, I'm stalking, so ahead of time.
Okay,
So
that's
what a lot of people would do, a lot of cast members, is go on like the Emporium. There was a Facebook page, and I'm sure there is now, of like current Emporium cast members, college program people most likely. And you would post your shift and say, does anybody want to trade for a register shift or a stalking shift? So even if I was assigned to register, I most likely could find somebody that would want to switch with me. And that was totally okay with our leaders. Like they don't care as long as somebody does it. You can switch. So that is a nice thing. So you could probably stalk or do register all the time if you wanted.
that's nice. 'Cause I thought
Yeah.
about doing merchandise, so I was just curious.
Yeah. Well, and the nice thing, I mean, as much as I like stalking probably the most, register was nice when I just didn't feel like messing with the store, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So there would be a few days, I don't know, where the store, when it was like super, super busy or crowded and the store just felt so chaotic,
Hmm.
like being at register was nice because it's like, okay, the mess out on the floor is not my problem. Like this
Yeah.
is my job, right? So on days like that, being just knowing all I have to do is be at the register, that was nice. And I will say, being at the register, you get to talk to more guests.
Hmm.
Um, and you have a lot more guest interaction at the register. So honestly, it just depends the mood you're in for the day. Like if you show up and you're like, I feel like talking to people today, I would I would suggest being on register. Or if you're like, I'm not having a great day or whatever, I just want to keep to myself, definitely stock, because you really don't have to talk. I mean, obviously when you're out on the floor, you are nice to people.
Hmm.
Um and people will come up to you and ask questions and stuff, but um yeah, being at the register, you definitely meet a lot more people for sure.
That's cool. Yeah. Why did you want to do the DCP?
Um, okay, so like I said, I just have always loved Disney. I was born in Orlando. I grew up in Jacksonville, so we went all the time. And then when I was 13, we moved to South Carolina. So that's where I live now, is in Greenville, South Carolina. And Greenville's about 8 hours, 7.5 hours from Disney. So it's like just far enough to where you have to plan a trip to go. You can't really do like a quick, I don't know, 1 or 2 night trip. You
Yeah.
really need at least 3 nights to make it worth it. So yeah, whenever we moved away, I just really missed being so close to Disney. And I think growing up going all the time, I kind of took it for took it what am word am I thinking of? Took advantage of it, took it for granted. I took it for granted. And it wasn't until we moved away that I realized how much I missed it. And so I one of my friends from South Carolina did the DCP, and that's how I heard about it. And then I just, yeah, I looked into it and I was like, this just sounds like a really cool opportunity and an easy way to go work for Disney. Um, I thought it was cool that Disney provided housing and like all this kind of stuff. So yeah, I applied and got in on my first time.
Hey,
Um,
congrats.
do what?
I said congrats because
I know. Yeah, you never know. And honestly, I don't think anybody truly knows the rhyme or reason to who they accept and who they don't. I mean, obviously, if you're applying and you have like, I don't know, a terrible application and whatever, or I don't know, a horrible phone interview, however they do it now, I think it's a little bit different. But I really do think a lot of it is pretty random. So, yeah, because I know people that have applied 2 or 3 times, didn't get in on their first time. It took a few times, and they're fine people, like they're good people. It just is a
yeah.
matter of like what Disney decides to do. So, yeah, I just love Disney, and I just kind of went down there with no. I didn't go down there with any expectation or any plan. I know a lot of people go down, and even some of my roommates went down with the plan of like, I want to stay down here. I want to live down here and work for Disney like long term. I totally went down there with the intention of I just want to do this for the experience and I'll see what happens.
Hmm.
Um, which I think was a good place to be. Um, so yeah, I just love Disney. That's why I did
I mean, who
it.
doesn't love Disney?
I know, I know. It was so fun, such a good experience. I learned so much. I honestly feel like after working at, especially in the Emporium, which it's like in the heart of Disney, and I feel like after working that job, I feel like I could work any job in the world. I don't know, that's stretching it a bit, but it was just so crazy and chaotic and just everything you had to learn and the hours. That was the one thing about the Emporium that was not the most fun, was we probably had like the latest hours of any role, because for one, Magic Kingdom stays open the latest, And so, and the Emporium would stay open an hour after park close. So if like Magic Kingdom's open till 11, we're open till midnight. And then after we close, it would take at least an hour to at least 2 hours to get the store ready for the next day. So on the average, I was clocking out around 2:30, 3 a.m. And then that means getting home. I was usually getting home around 3:30, sometimes 4 a.m. There was one morning, I'll never forget, I took a little Snapchat video of the time walking up to my apartment door, and it was like 5 a.m., something like that. It was a long that it was a night that Magic Kingdom had like extra magic hours or something, and
Oh,
we were open so late. Magic Kingdom, it was open till like midnight or something, and so we didn't get out of there till I can't remember. Yeah, that was a long night. So that was the only kind of negative thing about the Emporium is my sleeping schedule was so whack. Like I would come in, like I said, at
mhm.
3:30, and then I would shower, go straight to bed. I had no problem falling asleep. But then I wouldn't want to sleep the day away the next day because I want to go to the parks. So
Yeah.
I would sleep in a little bit. I'd usually get up around 10, maybe
Yeah.
11 at the latest. And then I would go play in the parks all day. So I was just exhausted the whole time I was down there. But it
Oh,
was a good exhausted,
okay.
obviously.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah. And um it was fun because in the Emporium as well, there's so many college program kids. And at night, that's like all it is. And so you kind of felt like we're all in this together. And we just, I don't know, we had a lot of good memories, all of us in there late in the evening. Oh, and I will say, one of the cool parts about working so late, especially on Main Street in Magic Kingdom, was that's when they film a lot of like anything they need to film really, they film during those hours. So there were a lot of times where we would be in the store closing, cleaning up, and we could look out on Main Street and see them filming commercials or it was really cool when they would around Christmas time they would do a lot of the holiday taping out there. So you did get to see some, and we would see them practice like the parades, like Mickey's Not So Scary, and Very Merry Christmas Party. We would be able to look out and see them practicing, and so that was really cool to get to see like Disney after dark, where like no guests are in the park, and I don't know, it was cool. That was a cool part of it. So
That's awesome.
Okay, so I'm stopping the video right here. I'm actually doing a two-part video because MK has such great advice and great stories from her time in the DCP that I didn't think that it was fair to cut off half of it. So you guys actually get a two-part for it. And these interviews will probably be longer than like my normal videos just because they have such great information and just amazing stories that they want to share. So you actually get a part 2 next Monday. So get excited for that because she has a lot of great things that she has to say.